All right, NFL free agency predictions. Kevin Bunk, Michael Marlowe coming to you for BTO Media. One of our favorite episodes to do every year right before free agency starts. We're just going to go right into it. 26 guys, the top 26 players on NFL.com's top 101 free agents. We start with Chief Safety Bryan Cook, who I have going to the New York Jets. Mike, what do you think?
Yeah, how many guys in this top 26 are we going to have to the Jets? How many guys are we mocking to the Jets here?
This is it for me.
Yeah, this is – I don't think I have any because I don't have him going to the Jets. I had him heading to Pittsburgh to shore up that defense. Mike McCarthy there, going to make a statement of free agency. I have them grabbing Cook, and I had the number, I think, $12 million a year for 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, I would go with the same number. I think he's the best free agent safety. Move off of him. We got a lot of guys to get through. First half of the list, we're probably going to move through quick. Number 25 on NFL.com's list. I was surprised he was this low. Romeo Doubs. Where do you have him?
I love this. So last night when I went through these free agent predictions, I wrote in my notes that I believe DJ Moore will be traded, and DJ Moore was traded about 30 minutes ago, and I think they will replace DJ Moore with Romeo Doubs. He'll stay in the division. He's younger than I thought he was, Kevin. He made a couple of big plays, a lot of big plays for Green Bay, and a couple against Chicago this year. So I don't think Green Bay retains him. I think they go get this young receiver to go match him up with a young receiving core and obviously a young quarterback still on his rookie deal.
So I actually like that a lot. I didn't even think of that because when I did my stuff yesterday, DJ Moore hadn't been traded. Bears are in a little tough cap situation, but they could make it work for sure. I have Doubs going to the Raiders, and I have it on a 4 for $50 million, which is like 12.2 or 3. I've seen him actually getting as close to as much as 4 for $60 million in some places. What do you have him at on a contract?
I had him at 3 for 40. I think he's 25. I'm pretty sure he is from when I looked last night. Younger than I thought.
Doubs, one of those guys, sure-handed red zone guy. I think that it would be a nice ad for Fernando Mendoza, for Clint Kubiak, to get a guy into that receiver room, which has been awful, at a pretty good price. We go to number 24, Zion Johnson, who has not caught on after being a first-round pick too well, but offensive linemen are going to be at a premium in this free agency. He's going to probably project at left guard for whoever takes him, but he has flexibility. I have Johnson going to the Texans, who have absolutely nobody on their offensive line. Think they're going to have to go after someone, and it'll probably be Zion Johnson.
Yeah, I had the Texans getting aggressive. We'll get to them later for me. I had Zion Johnson. There were a lot of needs for interior offensive linemen. I had him going to the Ravens. I think in this simulation we have going on, I have Linderbaum leaving. They're going to need some help in the interior. They've lost a couple of guys over the past couple of years too. I had him 3 for $36 million to the Ravens.
All right. How about Connor McGovern, one of the better interior linemen here? I have him going to the Bears. Just had the retirement of their center. They have the opening. I know a lot of Bears fans want Linderbaum. I think they're completely priced out of that sweepstakes. And if they are going to spend the little money that they have on one of these top 26 free agents, I think that McGovern makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I had David Edwards, the other offensive lineman, interior offensive lineman for the Bills, leaving, and he's going to get paid. Yeah. So I had the Bills keeping McGovern. He's been an important part of this offensive line for a few years now. He's really been great for them. They're going to have to protect Josh Allen. We know that. They have to be great on all three phases. We'll get to that later as well. So I think they keep McGovern. I had him on a 3-year, $48 million contract.
I think it's interesting, the discourse with McGovern too this offseason. Like, is center valuable or not? Because Linderbaum is hitting the market. Nobody likes to draft centers high, but everybody wants McGovern and Linderbaum this offseason if they hit the open market. So it goes to show, like, how many teams need a center? And everybody tells me center really doesn't matter that much.
And then you're probably going to see a lot of these teams overpay for them as well.
Yep. And for Buffalo, can't lose yours, guy that Josh Allen's comfortable with. But I do agree with you. I think Edwards is the more likely of the two to leave. Yep. At number 22, we have John Franklin Myers, who was actually rumored yesterday to have some Giants interest. Where do you go here with JFM?
I saw that this morning. He's been a good player over the last 2 years. I had him going to Cincinnati. I think obviously it's over with Trey Hendrickson. He posted a goodbye the other day. He's gone. I think they replaced Trey Hendrickson on that defensive line with John Franklin Myers. I was looking through kind of contract projections, what it would look like, and I was a little shocked by how low the number was. I landed on 2 years, 25 million to Cincinnati. And they like to bargain shop, Kevin. So I think this kind of like fits perfectly for Cincinnati.
Yeah, I have Atlanta, just another team with a need along the defensive line. I think Atlanta gets pretty aggressive this offseason. 8-9 last year. They tie for best record in the division, but finish in third. And they bring in Kevin Stefanski. You have the pieces. And if we'll talk about them maybe later on with the quarterback, I don't know. We're going to bring them up at some point when we talk quarterbacks because they are a landing spot. But just get aggressive, add another defensive lineman here. I like JFM a lot. And the link is Jeff Ulbrich, defensive coordinator, was his defensive coordinator with the Jets before Denver. So it makes sense if they want to add that. It's a fit. 21, we got our first running back of the group, Travis Etienne. I have going to the Chiefs, and I really like the fit. I think it's a really fun one. Are you in the same boat?
Yes, I am. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think they're going to get aggressive this offseason too, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think you see them try and add important pieces through the draft this offseason. I think they're going to try and get proven veterans in here like Etienne, who would be great out of the backfield catching the football, an electric, explosive player. I absolutely love it, especially with Mahomes coming off the knee injury.
I think the Jeremiah Love dream for Kansas City is already out. That was an early offseason take that we all had and we all loved. And then the combine happens, and it's kind of like Love's probably a top 7 pick. Chiefs have 9. But Etienne, what is he, a 2 for $14 million contract? 3 for 21 maybe? Like, it's really affordable value for a productive do-it-all running back.
I had him a little higher. I had him at 3 for 28.
Wow, okay, 3 for 28.
Yeah. He was
Do
really
you
good
feel like the Spotrac projections are a little low?
They were always lower.
Always
lower.
They're always lower.
I cross-referenced it with something else, and I would try and go to the middle unless I really felt good about Spotrac or the other one, Spotrac or the other one.
They have him 2 for 12.
Yeah.
I think he's a 3 for 21, or similar to whatever Javonte Williams just got 3 for 22, but they're always really low. It's like they don't really factor in the bidding war, I don't think, into anything. No. And it's just what's the pure contract offer that you would give this player.
I noticed that in baseball a lot.
Baseball,
always lower, but this was shockingly low on a couple of players.
Yeah. How about at number 20, JERMAINE ELUEMUNOR, right tackle. This is my first retention. I have the Giants keeping ELUEMUNOR on what I think will be like a $10 million contract for 2 or 3 years, $10 million per with ELUEMUNOR at right tackle. I think if he tests the market, he'll get a couple of generous offers, which will put him into double digits annually, but wrong side of 30. Not a superstar, but a really stable right tackle. And I compare him a lot to Morgan Moses last offseason, who got a 3 for 24. I think ELUEMUNOR gets a little more annually with the cap going up. I think he's a little bit of a better player too.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is too straight for us. I think he comes back to the Giants. From what I had been reading the past couple of days, the AAV is not going to be an issue with the Giants and ELUEMUNOR. I think they're pretty much set. It's the years. I had 3 for 33, 11 million a year for ELUEMUNOR. He stays. I think this is the player in terms of their outgoing players, their free agents that they choose to keep over WAN'DALE. I don't think they bring back Flott. So I think this is going to be the player they go out there and they try and bring back. I think ELUEMUNOR is a Giant.
And it would make sense, right? You don't want to go into the draft without a sure tackle. Harbaugh's going to want the offensive line to be assembled. And I think that this one just makes way too much sense for the Giants to bring him back. We go to another tackle, Rasheed Walker, who I actually think is worse than ELUEMUNOR, but NFL has him one spot better. Whatever. Good lineman. I have him go to Cleveland. They need offensive linemen. They're going to have to spend a little bit of money this offseason, and I think Walker would make sense at left tackle for them.
What was the number that you had on him?
The number I had on Rasheed Walker, pull it up because I didn't write him down on my notes. Yeah, see, I think he's like I think the number he's going to get is probably close to like $23 million a year. I think he's like a $17 million a year tackle.
Okay, so I had him, and I need to pull up my calculator so I can do the quick math. I had him going to Arizona. I think they overpay for him because they need offensive lineman help. And I didn't realize how young he was. I think he's only 25, 26.
Yep.
So, and he was a 7th round pick. So I think highest bidder is going to get him. So even if Green Bay tries to bring him back, yeah, I had him at 4 for 90. That's $22.5 million a year. I think it's going to be a crazy overpay for him. And I think Arizona is going to be completely desperate for whatever quarterback they bring in. But I was shocked. I was looking and I didn't realize like he was like this decent of a player. And then I noticed him at 19, I think, on the list. And I was like, it's 25-year-old tackle.
I think he's a little overrated based on stuff I've read, stuff I've talked about, and just watching him play. But he's a left tackle, and he's young, and he's top 15. So he's going to get paid, and it's going to be big money. So I like Cleveland if they can get into a cap situation to do it. I love the Arizona fit, too. That was a good one. Now, you just did the, like, Hackett links up with Rasheed Walker again, the LaFleur connection.
Right.
18, we have Wan'Dale Robinson. I have the same philosophy with Dable. I think he's a Titan. They have to spend some money. We're back on the same page.
This is a lock. 4 for 80. I had a crazy contract. They need playmakers. I have the Titans spending a lot of money here, so I'm not done with Tennessee. But like you mentioned, the Giants connection with Dable, Shea Tierney's there. A lot of Giants offensive staff, former Giants offensive staff in Tennessee right now, and they need playmakers for Cam Ward. So I think they spend big this offseason, and Wan'Dale's one of the big moves they make.
Yeah, if you got the money to burn, Wan'Dale's a good player for it. I don't like his number at all.
No.
But if you have that space, it makes sense if you need a wide receiver, because otherwise, like if you're working with 25, 26 million and you're saying we want to make one splash here, Robinson's not the guy for that.
My only issue is they're going to need more than Robinson, and I have them grabbing it back later, and they picked 4th. So they draft another wide receiver. They need a lot of help offensively. They have no firepower there whatsoever. So, like, you can't just be Wan'Dale and that's your big move in terms of your receiving core, because they need so much help to put something good around Cam Ward for this year. I'm excited to watch.
Yeah. So we have Wan'Dale going to the Titans. Next up, Isaiah Likely. Sounds like he's absolutely out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Based on everything I've read, hasn't heard from the new coaches yet. Hasn't heard from Eric DeCosta. He says he thinks his time in Baltimore is over. I think he follows Harbaugh to the Giants, and the Giants add another playmaker.
Yeah, I understand the connection with Likely and Harbaugh. I've heard that all off season. I don't have that happening, actually. I have Isaiah Likely. I think you're going to love this move. I have him going to Seattle.
Wow.
I think teaming him up with Barner over there, 2 athletic tight ends, good in the run game as well. I think Likely fits well in Seattle. And yeah, I think they're going to lose Shaheed. They're going to need another pass catcher at some point, whether they draft a receiver, but you bring in a guy like Likely, an athletic player. I like the fit. I'm going Seattle. I had 3 for 24.
Do you have the Seahawks spending any more money in this?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to just preface with this. I don't have the Seahawks getting anybody in this whole top 26, but there's 2 different philosophies here that I don't think are wrong. I think Seattle's going to be looking at this saying, we have $66 million in cap space, I think it is, which is, I think, 5th in the league. And everyone's saying, like, oh, it's so much money. And it is. But Jackson Smith-Njigba and Devin Witherspoon get $66 million in their extensions next year. This offseason, that'll kick in next year. So I'm looking at it as they're going to try to keep it together, make some cosmetic moves, but save the money for the extensions. But there's also your school of thought of, they could just continue to try and capitalize and then worry about the cap hell in 2 or 3 years. And that could happen where Seattle just has a huge offseason.
I just have one massive move coming later. One massive move coming later.
Okay, so we're up to 16 is Cade Otton, best tight end of the group. I also would agree with that he's the best tight end of the group. I love Cade Otton. I have him going to Denver, game away from the Super Bowl. Think they need to upgrade over Evan Ingram at tight end and Troutman. It was just a lame tight end room. Get a great blocker in here. He's going to be able to do everything you need him to do, and he's going to improve your run game a ton. Love Cade Otton.
I love Cade Otton too. I had him going back to Tampa, second re-sign here. I had him going back to Tampa just because I think they're going to need to try and keep as many pass catchers as possible, especially if you're going to lose Evans. I think they do lose Evans here. So I had him going back to Tampa, but I really like that fit. That would be very nice for Bo Nix, get a reliable tight end. And I'm just a big Cade Otton fan.
We're in the top 15 now. Couple Buccaneers in this top 16. You had Cade Otton. Now you have Jamel Dean, corner. At 15, I think this is another Raiders splash. They need help at corner. You're agreeing with me?
Yeah. When you look at team needs, you're searching up team needs. Corner stood out with Las Vegas. They're gonna have to add something on that defense. I had them grabbing him at 3 for 36.
All right, so Dean to the Raiders.
I thought about Philly too for Jamil. For a second, it was Philly, and then I was like, yeah, I don't know their money situation. Probably not great.
Philly's an interesting team this offseason because they do have to get better. They have the A.J. Brown thing looming. They're probably losing Jalen Phillips. And you're wondering, are they actually going to get creative to add anybody? And then you have Jamel Dean's a guy who I like the fit. I don't think they'd go this old at corner, though, because he is 30. I think it makes sense for a Raiders team who's trying to bring in some veterans, get respectable again. And he's going to get a lot of money, so you got to be able to spend it. This is one of those guys that is a lock to go to one of the 5 top teams in cap space. I think $12.5 million a year is the projection. I think he probably gets right around that 3 for 38. But yeah, Jamel Dean, Raiders, we agree. Mike Evans, this is one of the top 3 most interesting ones I wanted to talk about.
Yep.
I have him going back to the Buccaneers, but if he's not, I have him going to the 49ers. It's a very interesting scenario because Tampa Bay would be so dumb to let Mike Evans walk out the door. I know that he's going to want good money. He's not just going to come play for the minimum, but this guy is top 3 or 4 in your franchise's history. He has the Super Bowl ring with you. He loves being a Buccaneer. I cannot imagine Mike Evans in another uniform, and I think if they let him walk, that is a huge mistake. He should never wear another jersey.
I can see it because I have him leaving, and this is one of those veteran pickups I had for Kansas City. I have him going to Kansas City to go play with Patrick Mahomes. Rashee Rice, we don't know what's going on with him. Some off-the-field issues once again. But if he is back and he is playing, those two together, along with obviously an aging Kelsey, but in this scenario, a Travis Etienne at running back, this is a nice offense now. This is a really nice offense. So I think Andy Reid has some tricks up his sleeve. I think he convinces Mike Evans to come make a 2-year run, $30 million, $15 a year. And I think that Mike Evans heads to Kansas City trying to go win that Super Bowl. Another Super Bowl, excuse me. Everybody forgets Mike Evans won a Super Bowl. Is that not crazy?
I don't.
I just did.
You and Jason McIntyre. You watch Colin Cowherd all day.
Do not compare me to Jason McIntyre.
Because you watch Colin Cowherd all day and you become Jason McIntyre.
But I completely forgot he won a Super Bowl just now. I think he goes to get another one, and I think he helps Patrick Mahomes get one.
That would be a great ad. If you were Tampa, are you trying to re-sign him, or are you saying, like, thanks for everything, we're going to retire your jersey, but
I just
don't
know.
Do it.
Yeah, I don't know where they're at. Like, everything that I've seen and heard from this situation is that he's gone. Like, I'm under the impression that he's leaving.
Yeah.
I also thought Buffalo was a good spot for him, too, but obviously not anymore. But I thought Buffalo would have been a nice spot.
Part of my logic is I think last year with Chris Godwin, we were all sitting here saying, like, he's gone. He's going to be in Denver. He's going to be in New England. And then the first day of free agency, they sign him. I just think they operate that way, and we might not know that much. Because it feels the same with Mike Evans right now, that he is not getting a contract offer that he likes in Tampa, and he's not returning.
Yeah.
Interesting. Makes sense. David Edwards, you said you have him leaving. Where do you have him going?
I had him to the Chargers, 3-year, $65 million. Big contract for David Edwards. Listen, they swung and missed big time with Mekhi Becton. They just cut him the other day. They need help in that interior offensive line. We saw the tackles go down and what that did to that team. It basically brought their entire season down. Alt going down, and why am I forgetting? Slater going down. They're going to improve not only on the outside, getting healthier next year, but they're going to improve the inside of this offensive line. They want to run the freaking football. You know what Jim Harbaugh wants to do, and Mike McDaniel's going to want to do as well. Comes from that Shanahan tree where running the football is the most important part of that offensive game. So they're going to improve the interior offensive line. The Chargers go get David Edwards.
This is where I have the Bills spending their money this offseason, is keeping him. Left side of the line was so good last year, and James Cook was such a monster running behind it. So I think they try and keep this intact. But I agree with everything you've said today. He feels like he's more likely to leave than McGovern. He feels like he's going to be on a different team. It's definitely possible. I think the Bills have to re-sign one of these guys. So you're picking McGovern. I'm picking Edwards for this, and we move on. Number 12, ALIJAH VERA-TUCKER, who really hasn't played in the last 2 years for the Jets, but really good the first 2 years of his career. Where do you have him going? I think there's one of two options that make sense.
Wonder if this is one of them. I had him going to the Texans. 4 years, $54 million. This is where you had the Texans. Who'd you have the Texans signing? Zion Johnson. I have them spending a little bit more on AVT. We know the talent's there. He's a versatile guy. He just can't stay on the field. It's been his biggest issue. So I think the Texans will take a swing on him. And again, I love the fact that there's a chance that if you need to play him at tackle, you can play him at tackle. Versatile, but he'll play guard for them in an ideal situation. And I think the Texans will try and improve this offensive line around C.J. Stroud, who apparently is going to be their quarterback this year, according to the general manager, who has said it is crazy talk to even consider the fact they trade him. So I think they'll grab ABT.
So I have him going to the Cardinals, and I think those are the two teams that make the most sense. You can also lump in the Titans with Saleh, but I don't think they're going to do that. Titans have too many. I think VERA-TUCKER has to play left guard because he's gotten hurt playing anywhere else the last 2 years and got drafted as a left guard. Doesn't make sense for Tennessee. Skoronski's their best lineman. He's playing left guard. I like Arizona with Mike LaFleur, who was his OC when he got drafted, had his best year under Mike LaFleur. I think that they go for that, and they have the money to spend on it. He's got to play left guard, but the best asset he has is he can play tackle or right guard at a fairly high competitive level. So if he's healthy, he's great. I'm really curious to see how much money he gets because he just hasn't played the last 2 years. I think he's going to get like a 2 for 25.
Okay.
Because I thought the whole year he was going to get like a 1 for 6. And his market just sounds way more robust than I expected it to be. He just never plays.
I know. It's tough. It's tough to pay somebody like that.
I think he's missed like 43 games in 5 years.
But you're going to have a couple desperate teams. That's the problem. The Texans are desperate for offensive linemen.
And you'll always have the team that says, if he doesn't get hurt, we have a great lineman, and we're going to take that risk. And I'm fine with a team taking that risk. That's okay. Rashid Shaheed, 11. We're almost in the top 10 here. I think Shaheed is a top 10 free agent, but again, this is NFL.com's rankings of the top 101. I have Shaheed going to the Packers. They swapped Doubs for him. They need the special teams boost, and they could use the, I think, receiver upgrade with Shaheed. Different skill set than Doubs. I think it would be a nice fit, and I like what he can do for them on special teams.
Yeah, I actually like that fit a lot. I had him going to Buffalo. I don't care. They just traded for DJ Moore. I expected them to make a move anyway. I think they go and get him, and I think the biggest reason is, obviously the big play ability, the downfield threat that he is with Josh Allen and his arm, but also the special teams is such a massive weapon. He kind of changed almost everything for that Seattle team. Without him, they don't win that division, right? They do not beat that Rams team on that Thursday night in that crazy comeback without Rashid Shaheed. So changed a lot for that team and for basically their season. So I will have him go 3 years, $30 million to the Buffalo Bills.
And he's one of many to watch to follow Kubiak. He's the most logical member of their offense to follow Kubiak to the Raiders because Walker's not going to. So I could see that also. But I'm going Shaheed to the Packers. And you have him going to
the Bills.
The Bills.
Buffalo.
Which would be... Do you think the Bills... This is what I was going to say, so I kind of lost my train of thought. Do you think the Bills are going to be that serious about wide receiver? And did you see the quote about Joe Brady at his opening press conference, or that he said about Keon Coleman? Like, the best thing that could ever happen to you is me being your head coach. Like, you've been calling plays for him for the last 3 years.
Yeah, what's the difference? What's going to be the difference here? What's going to change?
I don't know.
They have to get serious about wide receiver. If they don't get serious about wide receiver, it would be one of the biggest misses in the history of the sport, because you have legitimately, and I don't care that I'm glazing, you have one of the best quarterbacks in the entire league. He's going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the sport. And if you don't put serious weapons around this guy, what are you doing? What are you doing?
I think that Bean looks at it and says, we dropped 30 in an AFC divisional round against the best defense in the league. I don't need to add another receiver besides DJ Moore. I need to add defense so we don't keep giving up 30 in every division round. I think that's how he looks at it.
Then add it in the draft. I don't know. I understand they gave up 33 points to the Broncos. I understand that. But I don't know. I feel like that game's a lot different if they have more playmakers on offense. You know,
I agree.
Josh Allen's not turning the ball over 3 times in that game.
I mean, last year he's throwing it to Brandon Cooks and to Shavers, and Shakir's good, but like he should be a 3 on that team with how far along they are in contention. I agree with you. I just don't think Bean does it. And I think Bills fans, I don't think he should have gone with McDermott, but I don't think DJ Morris is really that good.
No, it's not changing. If you add Rashid Shaheed to this, okay, now you have something. You have the tight ends, you have Shakir, you have Shaheed, and you have DJ Moore. I could live with that. I could go into next season saying, you know what? They put resources into it. They have a 2nd-round pick, by the way, for DJ Moore. That just came out. So,
yeah, which is a good return.
They're trying if they're able to bring in another guy. They need to bring in somebody else.
Yeah, with the amount of receivers in the league, why are we giving up a 2nd-round pick for DJ Moore?
Yeah, I don't know what that's about. I actually don't know what that's about.
Whatever. Boy MAFE kind of got relegated to a depth role, rotational role with Seattle, but this guy can disrupt as a defensive end. I have him going to Dallas. I think they need to add a player like this. I think it's like a $12 million a year contract for him because the last 2 years this past year, he hasn't played enough to produce at the level that he could have maybe gotten 19 or 20 million a year. Mm-hmm. So I have him going to Dallas. I think that's a great value defensive end.
Yeah, I had him heading to Tennessee. I think Tennessee, again, they're going to spend money. They have a need on the outside there. I think they're going to also try and change the culture a bit. Obviously, it's going to be a culture change with the head coach, but they want to bring in winners, guys that have been there. I think this is a great fit, and he's going to have the ability to shine, to try and be that guy. I think it's a 2 or 3 year contract. Like you mentioned, I think I had him at 14 a year. And if he's able to do that, you know, his next contract will be a big one.
All right. This is my favorite free agent of the whole thing to talk about. It's Kenneth Walker. Just dominated the playoffs. Ran the Seahawks to a Super Bowl. Who do you have?
I'm not going to believe all the reports. I'm not going to say that he's going to be a Giant. I don't want him to be a Giant. I have him going to Tennessee as well at 3 years, $36 million. Again, part of this shift to let's bring in winners. Let's bring in guys who have done it right and done it before. And that, again, like you look at that offense, there's nothing there. They need help. What's going to be a quarterback's best friend? A run game. I think the Titans go and grab Kenneth Walker. But I want to have the conversation with you about the Giants, so we could have that when you give your prediction.
My prediction, probably the most out of left field one on my whole list, is the Jaguars to replace Travis Etienne and add a real dual threat runner to their offense. However, this is my Giants thought. There's a lot of smoke, which might be real, but nothing has actually leaked about the Giants the last month and a half. Since they hired John Harbaugh, it has been tight. Like, we didn't even know about the coaches they were interviewing for stuff. We just heard about it at the end of a week when they did their press dump and said, we interviewed XYZ, we're hiring this person. We didn't even know really about the schedule of their coordinator interviews. That's very rare. So am I sitting here believing that at the Combine, the Giants just spilled everything that they want to sign Kenneth Walker? I don't believe that at all.
It's a great point. And I had something else that they hid for a little while, and I just completely forgot it. So I'll think of it in a second. But it's a good point. I understand them wanting to go get a running back. That's fine. Cam Scadaboo's coming off a gruesome injury. I understand a lot of people in advanced metrics don't love Tyrone Tracy, and he's I think he's actually older than Kenneth Walker. So like, I'm okay with them saying, hey, we need to go out there. We need to go add a running back. But we're going to add a running back that's going to make $12 to $14 million a year. This is as high as his value is ever going to be as a Super Bowl MVP. I understand he's a good he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But I just don't think they're in a spot where they could spend big money on a running back right now.
I think two guys make a ton of sense. One makes more sense than any other free agent. Rico Dowdle makes a ton of sense as a 1-year veteran at $6 million, $5.5 million. No one's going to pay him to be the lead back unless you're like Miami and you trade HN and go full tank. Nobody's paying him to be a lead back. I think that the Giants have to go that route. Another guy I'd look at is Algier.
Yeah.
Algier's a high upside 1-year contract. And he, I think, is better than Scadaboo and better than Tracy. I don't see Kenneth Walker as a sensible fit here because I also don't think Kenneth Walker's body of work warrants the contract he's getting because he had this great 3 weeks just now, which matters on this playoff run, but that doesn't justify giving him $14 million a year and making him your lead back when you have a good productive group of guys there already. Like Scadaboo led the league in touchdowns when he got hurt.
And that's the one thing if you told me that all the rumors were they're going to go get a running back, and the rumors were centered around Dowdle or Algier, somebody like that, or even Etienne. Like, doesn't Etienne make more sense than Kenneth Walker if they were going to add a running back? Don't you want somebody that does what these guys don't, and that's catch the ball out of the backfield? I know Scadaboo impressed a little bit. He was a little better in terms of catching the football, but I don't know. I feel like those guys are better fits than Kenneth Walker, and you could just take the money out of it.
My other thought with the Giants leak on this, because there's way too much for it to have not somebody's leaking this information in the NFL, is they got great intel at the combine that the Commanders want Walker. And they have made this a price push leak.
Okay. Let's
jack the price on a division rival who's going to get a player that we all think is really good. I mean, we all can agree that Kenneth Walker is a really good player.
Yeah.
But I just don't like it for the Giants. And the leak is so suspicious to me that this has become so loud and so apparent.
It's a great point that you made about the other leaks. You also, nobody really knew McDuffie was on the block or being traded and when he was going to be traded, but he had no clue that the Giants were involved until after the trade was basically finalized. So, you have that as well. It's what I wanted to say before. So it's a great point that nothing has really gotten leaked.
And do you think that this would make any sense for them to leak this right here?
Especially if they wanted him? No, I feel like
it's so early. It's so early. This started coming out on Tuesday morning. That's 6 days before free agency.
Well, even if let's say they were interested in it, wouldn't they want to be under the radar about it too? Because you don't feel like they're an obvious team to go get him. So you would be more under the radar than anything else. You wouldn't be sitting here saying how much you love him.
Yep. And based on the philosophies of the Harbaugh brothers, if the Giants, who have $37 million roughly, they're going to end up with like somewhere between 30 and 37 once they make the obvious cuts, maybe trade Thibodeau, get a little more. Doesn't it feel like if they're going to make a splash at over $14 million per for 2 or 3 years, that it's going to be a trench or player or a linebacker or a safety
or a wide receiver?
I don't
the
think,
bigger needs a wide receiver.
But I don't think think about the Harbaughs. I don't think that they would do this at wide receiver or running back. I think that they would do it at offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, or safety.
Well, I think he knows he's getting one of those guys in the draft. Like, I don't think it's going to be a wide receiver in the draft. I think 5 is going to be a lineman or a linebacker.
So, if I were him and we're sitting here saying, like, we really want to get a big playmaker in, a guy we're going to talk about in 2 players, I'd say let's go get Devin Lloyd, and then we can draft either Sonny Styles or Caleb Downs in the draft and feel great about what we just did to the middle of our defense.
Yeah, it's a great point.
I wouldn't ever sign Kenneth Walker in this spot, and I know you agree with that too.
Yeah.
Again, good player. This is not the situation for it.
Totally okay with Algier. Totally okay with Dowdle. I'm so okay with that. I would like it, actually.
Yeah, it would just work much better. And again, Scadaboo is going to be ready to go week 1. You don't think he's going to return to that form he was right before he got hurt, but this doesn't make too much sense to bring in Kenneth Walker. Let's go to ODAFE OWEH. He's the 8th highest. Had a great year with the Chargers last year. I have him going back to the Ravens, where he was for 4 years before that, with Minter, who he just thrived under. He's going to be comfortable in Baltimore. He's going to be comfortable with the coach. They're going to want to make a splash on the defensive line, get a lot tougher. He brings that. So I'm going to go with OWEH to Baltimore.
Yeah, I thought about that for a second. I ended up having him going back to the Chargers. They were great on defense last year. I mean, it was the reason why they were able to make the playoffs, even with all the injuries on offense. So I think they'll bring him back. I had him at 3 years, $50 million to bring him back. They need help on the edge as well. That would be a need, especially if they lost him. So I'll have him stay in LA.
I have his contract at 3 for 60, so I'm going to get him to the $20 million a year. I think he's going to get a big bidding war here because he's still younger. I think he's 26, maybe just turned 27. But this is a really good player. Whoever gets him is going to be pretty happy. Devin Lloyd, robust market here for Lloyd, who there's a lot of really good linebackers available this offseason, whether it's through the draft or free agency. I feel like when you look at the free agents, there's like Nakobe Dean is second, but he headlines a second tier. The first tier is just Devin Lloyd.
Second team All-Pro last year. I'm very interested to see where you have him going. He was the toughest guy for me to predict. You look at Denver's defense last year, they fell off in the second half of that year. They really weren't like this great dominant defense that I thought they would be all season long. They had moments. They were great in the AFC Championship game, but like they were underwhelming to me. I think with the cap space they're going to have now with Russell Wilson completely off the books after this year, I think the Broncos go out there, make a splash, 4 years, $80 million. They bring in Devin Lloyd to solidify this defense as one of the best in the league.
All right, I have them going to the Commanders. Cap space, they got to make a splash. Their defense stunk, and I thought a huge problem was because of how old Bobby Wagner had gotten last year, and he just couldn't play sideline to sideline at all. He couldn't tackle in the run game. I love the idea of getting Devin Lloyd in, getting younger, and giving Dan Quinn, who I think is on the hot seat going into this year, which is amazing, a year removed from the NFC Championship game. I think Dan Quinn needs to get a playmaker in the middle of this defense and needs to turn this defense into a top at least 18 group. They were terrible last year.
So bad, and it is crazy after that miracle run to the NFC Championship game that he's on the hot seat. But I never loved the hire, so I'm actually not shocked by it.
Nope, can't be surprised.
Devin Lloyd,
Commander. Devin
What'd
Lloyd,
you have the number
Bronco. The number, I think he's going to get like 21, 22 a year.
Okay.
What'd you have it at?
I had 20 a year, 4 for 80.
Yeah, so I think he goes right over that. And either way, I mean, the thing that might hurt his number is there's so many linebackers. So there might not be that bidding war of really aggressive teams because teams might be saying, like, we're okay with Nakobe Dean, we're okay with Leo Chenal, we're okay with going to the draft for one of these guys, especially if you have a top 6 pick and you think you can get Styles. You feel all right with not spending the money on Lloyd. That might hurt him. Trey Hendrickson. This is an awesome free agent conversation. We're into the top 6 here. Hendrickson, Alec Pierce, Kyler Murray, Tyler Linderbaum, Jalen Phillips, Malik Willis. So we're really up to the top 5 free agents, and then Malik Willis is first on the list. But where do you have Hendrickson going?
Yeah, obviously leaving Cincinnati. I had him going to Tampa. I read something the other day about a fit. He's from over there. Interesting fit. They could use a defensive end, an edge player. So I think when you have Baker Mayfield here, who finished the year so poorly, they got to go for it. He's not getting any younger, and I think this is the move that they make, the big splash they make, and you could kind of justify losing Mike Evans if you're able to bring in this big time pass rusher. Hendrickson can still play. So I had 3 for 80. I had a big deal for him. 3 for 80 for Trey Hendrickson to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I'm going 2 for 50. I think Trey Hendrickson ends up with the Patriots. They just went to the Super Bowl. They have just enough cap space to make a move like this happen. And when you have the great quarterback on the rookie deal, why would you not go out and try and get a player like Trey Hendrickson, where maybe the best free agent of the whole class is at your biggest position of need? Get after the quarterback for the next 2-3 years. He's still only 31 years old. Makes too much sense for Vrabel.
And this obviously would mean that you have Crosby going elsewhere.
Yeah, I don't think Crosby goes to New England.
Okay.
And I think they just open up a little more money, too, after the Diggs thing. I don't think his contract's going to be – I don't think they're going to be entitled to the rest of his guaranteed money.
So they're not going to have an issue paying Hendrickson?
No. Right now they have like $36 million in cap space anyways, so you go for it. And they don't have – the nice thing about New England, they don't have like extension-ready players right now. You signed Milton Williams already for a few years. Your offensive line's locked up because you just signed and when you last year to a nice deal. You don't have to pay your quarterback for another 4 years. How much of a blessing is that for them? Running backs are cheap. Tight ends are cheaper veterans. Receivers are locked up with.
The next guy would be Gonzalez.
The next guy would be Gonzalez next year. So you have the opportunity to go out and get Hendrickson on a 2 or 3 year deal and feel great about your flexibility still.
That'd be dangerous. That would be dangerous for the NFC East. AFC.
And I haven't seen any smoke around it yet, which makes me love it even more.
Vrabel working in silence.
Vrabel working in silence. Alec Pierce, 5. Where do you have him?
G-Men.
Whoa!
G-Men.
Whoa!
Where I got Giants spending some money. 3 years, $65 million. I had the Giants grabbing them. Listen, I can't be the only guy that looks at this team, and I understand the way Harbaugh builds this team. I get it. I can't be the only guy looking at this team right now and not screaming for a wide receiver. You need somebody alongside Malik Neighbors. I think Slayton sucks. They got to get rid of Slayton. Please get rid of Slayton. Bring in Alec Pierce. Big play. Over 20 yards per reception last year. I think this will go well. He'll match up well with Dart and his play style. And on the opposite side of Malik Neighbors coming back now from the ACL, I think it could be dangerous. I really like this. I think this is what I want.
Wow.
And I think it's going to happen. I think the Giants get aggressive here.
Yeah, I think that you're out of your mind and you're crazy, but you're entitled to be. That's all right. And I don't think they're adding.
I don't think they're adding a receiver at 5. I just don't. Now, could they add?
I think they're going to go into this year and say this receiving room sucks behind Malik Neighbors because that's what Ravens fans have done for the last 15 years.
Well, we can't. No, John's going to learn from his mistakes. Okay, I'll beat it into him. He's got it.
I think Pierce stays with the Colts for what it's worth. But yesterday he had a comment that made me think he might be leaving. He was asked somewhere. It felt like a newspaper interview. Should have saved it. And they asked him.
Kay Adams.
It might have been Kay Adams. And I saw it aggregated. So they asked him what he's looking for in his next team. And he said he's looking for stability at quarterback. And that makes me think you're not going back to the Colts. Because he said, he's like, with the Colts, I've had 7 quarterbacks in 5 years or whatever it is. And that makes me think he's not going back to the Colts.
You know where you got stability at quarterback?
Giants.
Giants.
You also have a coach who doesn't spend any money on wide receivers.
Times changing.
Are they?
Yeah. Feels like a Harbaugh guy.
Lamar Jackson's going to be pretty pissed if Harbaugh goes to the Giants and gives him a wide receiver.
Imagine first order of business is signing a receiver to over $20 million a year.
Can I give you my one concern with Alec Pierce and this is a me thing, and I think it's a lot of people would agree with me in the NFL. He is not a separator. He's a contested catch guy. He's not a 100 catch a year player. No. And you're giving him, I think, like 22 or 23 million a year because he's so much better than the other free agent wide receivers. I don't like that kind of player being successful over a 4-year contract, but he's a good football player. And if a team wants to do it with a guy like Malik Neighbors, who's on a rookie deal, I wouldn't blame you at all.
I have it at 3 years, so you pay as he's out the door, you're paying Malik Neighbors.
Yep.
And you
so
get your next guy.
That works. I do think he's going to get a 4-year deal though.
Okay.
With how in demand he's going to be, but you're only going to have 2 or 3 guaranteed. So it's all the same. Kyler Murray, number 4. Best quarterback in free agency, I think, by a wide margin, but he's not the best on NFL.com. We'll get to Malik Willis at number 1 in a few moments. Where do you have Kyler going, Mike?
So Kyler's getting a 1-year deal, right? Like, and I'm genuinely asking.
One for 1.3. That's what it's going to be.
Okay. It's going to be veteran minimum. I think Kyler Murray is headed to Minnesota.
I do too.
I think he goes to the Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, and he sees what these quarterbacks have done in Minnesota outside of J.J. McCarthy. You look at Kirk Cousins, right? Kirk Cousins had so much success there. He went to Atlanta, got 4 years, $180 million. Obviously a massive mistake, but he got paid. You see Sam Darnold go from San Francisco to Minnesota, getting paid, resurrecting their careers. I think that Kyler Murray views this and says, I could do the same thing. And from the Vikings side of things, it's not a big risk whatsoever. You tell them, hey, you're competing for this job with JJ McCarthy, but if you win the job, you're the guy. And while they have to make a lot of cuts here because of the cap issues, they're still going to be a better roster than other places where he could potentially go. I have him going to Minnesota.
It just makes too much sense, man. Because I think if I'm Kyler, let's say there's 5 teams in on it. Vikings, Rams, Jets, Dolphins, and I don't know, Browns. Those are your 5 teams that are in on Kyler Murray. I don't want to sit a year with the Rams. I don't want to play for the Jets, Dolphins, or Browns. I think I have a real shot at starting and winning 12 or 13 games with Minnesota next year. Why would you not do that? It feels so obvious.
No, it's the better spot. It's going to be the better spot of all of them. The only other team that I think could bring them in is Atlanta, and like that would be a very intriguing spot. I have them going elsewhere. But, like, yeah, if it's between those teams, it's easily going to be Minnesota because he's not going to want to go to a situation like Cleveland where not only is it a terrible situation, but you're probably going to have to compete for the job too.
The only flaw in the theory of Minnesota is if they don't want him.
Right.
And it's if O'Connell says, because I'm thinking about the archetype of O'Connell quarterbacks, they're all bigger guys and they all play from the pocket. And I think Murray would be great there and that it would work really well and you'd feel really good about him come December. But there's a lot of red flags with Murray, as there are with all the other free agent quarterbacks. So do you want to roll the dice on Kirk Cousins is your backup? Say, I won 9 games last year with JJ McCarthy. We were awful. McCarthy, Brosmer, Wentz. We won 9 games. Can we see if he gets a year better before we get radical and go and get Kyler Murray? McCarthy's only played a year in the NFL, so I could see them saying that too. Once you bring in Kyler Murray, you're basically telling JJ McCarthy you're not the starter.
I think, and you're going to call me, a kiss ass glazing. I don't care. Like, these players see it around the league where even if Daniel Jones goes there, doesn't play, but he learned something. He sat there and learned from Kevin O'Connell, then goes to a nice situation in Indianapolis and succeeds. I think it's a place where quarterbacks want to be. So for Kyler, I think it's easy. And it's just, you're right. It's going to be up to whether or not Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings want to do this. Which I think they're going to have to admit their mistake, by the way. I think O'Connell's going to have to admit his mistake and bring in somebody like Kyler.
This gives you a chance to resurrect what you did wrong with Darnold. And if you're Kyler, you have to be looking at it saying, Sam Darnold just stopped here for a cup of coffee, won 14 games, and a year later, he's on a different team. He won the Super Bowl, and he got a ton of money. Like, this is obviously the best career choice, but the Rams intrigue me too. I just don't think he's going to want to sit for a year or two.
No. I think if the Rams bring somebody in, it's going to be a younger guy, probably through the draft. I'm surprised they haven't done it yet, actually. Try to get that next guy. Maybe it's this year. Maybe it's with Ty Simpson.
Maybe Anthony Richardson.
Maybe
he's a candidate for both these teams.
100%. 100%.
But Anthony Richardson would concern me too, not to go off on a tangent, because I think Shane Steichen kind of does this with quarterbacks also. Well, he's good. Yes. On the lower tier of it. I think like Daniel Jones is playing like a borderline MVP.
Right. Richardson scares the hell out of me, but if he goes to one of those places, if he was in San Francisco, if he went to McVay, I think McVay would be able to, especially if he's sitting for a year or two.
Yeah. All right.
We'll trust it.
Can I run you through the Kyler Jets scenario quick? I just want to get your thoughts on it because they're the favorite to land him. They get him on a $1.3 million. They still have $80 million left to spend in free agency. They solidify the offensive line. They need a left guard. They do that. They add a wide receiver, maybe through the draft like Mekhi Lemon. Maybe they trade for a guy like Michael Pittman. And you're looking at a team now with bona fide wide receiver 1 Garrett Wilson, top 12 running back, top 10 running back who can be a home run guy. Good tight end room. I think very good offensive line. Now you have a wide receiver 2 in the mix somehow, and Adonai Mitchell's your wide receiver 3. You know, with a veteran play caller who's nothing special, but is going to do a good enough job putting his quarterback in a situation to succeed. They might not win that many games, but you can produce a quarterback.
You can produce a quarterback. It's not a terrible situation to go into. I think, again, the job they've done over the past few years with the offensive line has really set them up for whatever quarterback that's going to come in here in a year or two, young guy. They're going to be set up nicely with that offensive line. Obviously need a receiver, like you said. It's not a terrible spot. I just think, and I think he'll consider it. I just don't think that he will. I don't think that he will want to go to a spot where, like in Minnesota, if he has to compete for the job, like if they tell him he has to compete for the job, I don't know if he's going to love that. He's not competing for the job in New York. He's going to be the starter.
No, he's going to be the starter. And I also wonder if Kyler is willing, like I think the same thing with Tua. Are they willing to step into New York where they're going to start and face the media criticism right away?
Right.
I don't know if they're cut out for that.
That can't happen. That Tua cannot happen.
Tua can't happen.
That can't happen. I mean, anybody else, literally anybody else.
Yeah, I think for the record, I think the Jets will beat Jacoby Brissett, but
yeah,
who knows? All right. We got 2 free agents left. Jalen Phillips is the best non-quarterback on NFL's top 101. I have him going to the Chargers because I have OWEH going to the Ravens, so this is a domino effect of that. Mm-hmm. And I think he gets like a 3 for $55 type of deal, something close to $20 million, but not quite. Where do you have him?
This is the one that I actually feel the best about. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I feel like the most confident in this. The Cowboys just brought over Christian Parker. He was with Philadelphia for years. He's one of the youngest defensive coordinators actually in the league. Pretty sure he was the defensive line coach for Philadelphia. Jalen Phillips was there for a cup of coffee. But he was a good player, an effective player. I really like him. I have him for 3 years, $70 million to the Dallas Cowboys. This is their big splash. Jerry has said they're going to spend this offseason, and I don't think they'll spend big time, but I think they will on this player here, the defensive end. They need the help on the edge. I think they get Jalen Phillips. All
right. Now, I've been really intrigued to hear this one since you texted me last night. I'm going to skip any more Phillips talk. Linderbaum. I have him going back to the Ravens. DaCosta made too much noise about it at the Combine for me to think they're not going to figure out a way to get this done. Where do you have him ending up if it's not Baltimore?
I have him going to the Seahawks.
Wow. Oh, wow.
4 years, $85 million. So when I'm looking around, like you have the obvious places, right? People have said the Giants are going to be involved. I think they'll sniff on it, but I don't think they'll actually be involved. Ravens obviously bringing them back. Chargers have a need. But then I'm like looking, and the team that keeps popping up for a need at center was Seattle. They lost their center early in the year. The guy that came in to replace him really wasn't that good. He graded out poorly on PFF. Like, you have the money to spend in one of the best centers, if not the best center in the league available. Why not go and spend on him and add a big-time piece to your offensive line? Yeah. They're going to want to run the freaking football. You know that. I think Seattle's big splash this offseason is on Tyler Linderbaum. 4 years, $85 million. He breaks the record set by Creed Humphrey.
I think that's a really bold one and a fun one because they do have 4 really good linemen. None of them are the center. Sundell was, I think, the 20th ranked lineman center in the NFL this year. And they have the money to do it if they want to get aggressive like that. But I can't get around to that. That would be crazy. You really shocked me with
that offensive line. Well, that's why I texted you last night. I said, we haven't talked about anybody. We haven't talked about Seattle once for Linderbaum. We've been talking about the 3 same teams, Giants, Chargers, Ravens for Linderbaum since the end of the season. And I'm looking at it, and I was like, I thought about the Bears for a second. You mentioned the Bears before. I thought about the Bears for a second, and I was like, Seattle's got the money to do it.
See, Drew Dahlman retiring makes Chicago interesting too. They don't have the money right now. They would have to backload this contract like crazy. But they could make it happen. They just traded DJ Moore, got a ton of money off the books. They got to move Edmonds. And then money opens up to sign players.
It's an expensive offensive line, though. You're paying
very expensive line.
You just
so would it be. Seattle would be expensive too.
Yeah, it would be.
They're paying Cross. Zabel's got the first round contract. You're paying Lucas to play right tackle. It's like an $80 million a year offensive line.
Might be worth it.
Would be fun. Interesting stuff. We get down to Malik Willis, the #1 rated free agent on PFF's or on NFL.com's top 101. Where do you have Malik Willis ending up?
By the way, the number one ranked player. This is what's wrong with the NFL, okay? Because a team is going to go out there and they're going to pay Malik Willis $30 million a year. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter the years, right? Yeah, 1 year deal, okay, whatever. It's going to be a 2 or 3 year deal, out after one. It's going to be big in the first year. This is what is wrong with the NFL. A team like the Cardinals are going to go all over Malik Willis, and it's going to fail miserably, and they're going to waste a year, and they're going to be the worst team in football because they have nothing around him. I actually don't think he goes there, though. I think that Malik Willis goes to Atlanta. I made a video about this a couple of days ago. I think they're a really good fit because the infrastructure around him would be very, very solid, great weapons, great running game. And you have Kevin Stefanski there who's going to want to make an impact, going to want to do something at quarterback. I think Penix is a backup at best in this league. I'm out on Penix. And you bring in Willis and you're like, hey, this is my starting quarterback. And again, you would front load it. You have to out after the one. And if it goes poorly, great. Failed experiment in year one. If it goes great, then you extend them, after a year or two.
I don't like it. I don't like Malik Willis at all.
I don't like him that bad. I don't like him either.
I don't like him at all. And I could see Atlanta doing it. I have Arizona. But what are we doing? What are we doing right now? Malik Willis had some throws and some moments with Green Bay this year. But if you look at his career over the last 2 seasons with the Packers, he's hardly running. That's number one. You need to see him do that more. And I don't think he can stay healthy if he's running for a full season, if that's your offense. Number 2, he had 25 dropbacks where he threw the ball beyond 2 yards. It's the most catered to quarterback of the last 2 seasons. And Matt LaFleur did a great job. So you could say Mike LaFleur is going to do the same stuff, and Nathaniel Hackett, they're going to do the same stuff. But you're going to bring in Malik Willis and Mike LaFleur to a rebuild where the Seahawks, Rams, and 49ers in your division, it's death. You're dead on arrival if you're Arizona in 2026. And to be fair, it doesn't matter which quarterback they bring in. I don't think there's a single team that is in a worse spot conceptually than Arizona. How do you even come to the idea or the thought that realistically they could be in the playoffs next year?
No, you can't. But how do you compete, right? That's the answer that you have to get to. How are you just not the laughing stock of the league?
How do you compete? How do you compete feels like Mike LaFleur going to the general manager and the owner and saying, we need to be the worst team in the NFL this season.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that, but I don't think Willis does that for you either.
I think he would. And I understand, obviously, the fit, the brother, Matt did such a great job. He did. He was great with them. He played in a very quarterback-friendly system in Green Bay to get him to this point, which is why I'd have to go to a spot where the weapons are better. And, I don't think LaFleur and Stefanski are on the same level, but I don't also think it's that far off. So, I don't know. I feel like if I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to get paid, I'm going to get paid anywhere. The best spot for my career, if Atlanta's offering me a contract, I have to go to Atlanta. I can't go to Arizona. I can't.
No, you can't. I just don't think Atlanta gets aggressive like that.
I understand. I understand they're the perfect fit, Arizona, for all the reasons that are out there. I just can't do it because it's such a bad move by both sides. I'm not going to predict it. Gun to my head, where's he going to go? Arizona. But I can't do that because I know it's a mistake.
And Miami, he can't take Miami seriously either.
No.
With Halfley, he can't. And I don't think Miami's even going to take him seriously. What's interesting is the 2 or 3 teams that are in the mix for Willis, the most rumored 3 teams have been, I think, Arizona, Miami, and the Jets. But I don't think that he's likely to go to Miami or the Jets. They are probably right now the 3 leaders in the clubhouse to be the worst team in the NFL next year.
Well, the Jets would be the best spot out of all those places.
They would be. And I don't think the Jets are going to come very close to being the worst team in the NFL because they're going to have their desperation offseason probably and sign a ton of guys, and you have the second pick. Like, you should be outside of the 5 worst teams in the league next year. But Willis has no good options. And you almost – he's in an impossible spot because Green Bay, like, was his Darnold Vikings. He just didn't get to play that much. And he didn't show as much as Darnold showed, but you also have to go get your bag. Like, you can't say I'm going to go to San Francisco or I'm going to go to Minnesota or I'm going to go to the Rams and just hang out here for a little bit until it's my turn. You have to go get your money now.
I'll ask you this question. The Jets come in at 2 years, $50 million, $25 a year, which if I was a Jets fan, I'm totally okay with that. Or we'll go Arizona offers you 3 years, 90-something million. He's making the Arizona deal.
And I would too.
But I think the better spot for him would be, and I think it's that much off, I think the better spot would be the Jets because I think you're going to be able to show more in your first season and potentially be the guy there. I mean, he's still somewhat young. If he balled out next year, I think it's a lesser risky move than signing Justin Fields last year for more money, but I think it's less risky.
Yeah, I could agree with that. And I also think if you're Willis, I agree with you. You have to be trying to get to Atlanta because 9 wins gets you the division. And you think you have a better coach than you have in any of the other spots. Good offensive line. There's playmakers there to play with. I mean, the playmakers in Atlanta are better than what he even had in Green Bay.
Oh, 100%.
The coach is just probably a little bit worse, I think.
100%. It's a great spot. It's a great spot for many quarterbacks to go into. Brett Beatty, it's your own shot. It's a great spot to go into. And Michael Penix is there, and he sucks. So like that tells you everything you need to know about Penix.
Yeah,
he's terrible.
It's a wrap on the top 26 free agents predictions. Free agency starts Monday. We're probably going to go live Monday or Tuesday at 12. Talk about it. I'm going to be live somehow on Monday at 12. And then you'll be with me at some point.
When are mocks happening?
Later in the offseason. That'll be like a post-free agency, like April maybe. Jump into it. Nice. Feeling early right now. Probably no draft guide this year. But that's all right. Thanks for watching this free agency Monday. We'll be active all week on YouTube, Instagram for free agency. Check us out on Spotify. As always, you can check the description for all your timestamps on stuff. Follow BTO Media on Instagram for more of our own content and short form stuff from these podcasts that give you a little bit of a different look. Again, appreciate you watching, and hopefully your team does well in free agency next week.